What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank, and today I want to talk about how African Americans are doing just fine while European Americans are suffering, right, during this crisis, right, this economic crisis, this food shortage crisis. And by the looks of things online, as European Americans are really telling us how they're struggling in America, and I'm listening to their struggles, right, because they're finally talking, and we're watching. I'm like, okay, what's going on with you? Right, we see that they're having issues, as far as like hunger or whatnot, right? And I'm starting to truly believe that these guys are like really in their houses starving, right? Like you guys are like in your houses with no food. And as an African American, I couldn't even fathom that, even during the time of Fathom. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to take some time to explain to you what's happening in the African American community. And even the African Americans, not all African Americans are aware that this is something that we do systematically within our community, which is African cultural consistency, and actually has nothing to do with religion, even though we use religious organizations to do the thing that we do, which is very communal. And this is why we are okay. This is something that we do in the African American community. And you will see that every African community does this. This is something Africans do communally by default, automatically, no matter what culture we are a part of. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like it when people always say, oh, black people are not united, we don't work together as community, and we use other groups as examples of why it is how we should be like them. Like we say, oh, look at the Jews, look at what they're doing. Oh, look at the Latinos, look what they're doing. And look at the Europeans, look what they're doing. Listen, African people are the only people on the planet that put so much pressure on ourselves to unify and be communal because we are naturally like that. Latinos never claim to be unified unless they're attacking black people because they're smelling themselves. But then come to find out, if in the real world, Latinos are anything but unified and they got the same problems we have, they're just in denial about them. Asian people also are not unified. They have the same problems, but they don't like to speak up about them. Therefore, everybody waits for us to speak out about a general problem, then they jump on the bandwagon. Europeans have never been unified, right? And you can even go on white European Twitter, white European TikTok, white European YouTube, and you will see them right now as white supremacy breaks up and all the white factions within white supremacy or the white dominated society both battle for the hearts and mind of their individuals and for their survival. You can see that they've always been fractured. They've never been unified other than to exploit Africans and Asians for their own benefit because they don't build anything on their own. They steal from other people. It's just what they've been doing culturally. You go throughout history, that is the history of the European, to steal from others to take, because they come from a place of non-abundance, of scarcity. Therefore, they become a more aggressive hominid on this planet. And it's the same. And it's that culture that has permeated within the European community as everybody is on an individual basis. Everybody's looking out for just them individually. As when something happens, like recently, we have a lot of white European males with mental illness committing domestic terrorist activity, right? But they don't chalk it up to the European race because in their minds, everybody, as far as they're concerned, on an individual basis, because Europeans don't have a high trust factor with anybody. They've always been in small little populations, and they've always fought each other for the little resources that they have. Now in America, the only place within history that white people who were not rich kings, dukes, and duchesses ever had an opportunity to own land, to be homeowners, to be landowners, to own themselves, because Europeans have been slaves by another name via land as serfs their entire existence into America. So that's why Europeans lost their mind when they came to America, because it was the first opportunity they could own anything as a group of people if they weren't like rich duchesses or something like that, right? But what's happening is, because of the transatlantic slave trade and how African Americans ended up in America, most African people live in dense populations within the city centers of America, within the exchange districts of America, within the export-import areas, the business districts of America, because we were the first commodity, the first product, the first workers, the first cog in the machine of what we call America, right? Therefore, we had to geographically be located in those areas, right? Because we were producing the crops that created the abundance of America. That was where we are. So it just so happens that we're all still there. All the plantations are, for the most part, that produce all the money, that produce all the rich white Europeans in suits and their families and their descendants, all on the East Coast, southern portion of America, because they had to get those goods from the interior of America out into the rest of the world, right? That's why all poor Europeans, for the most part, in the Midwest, because they were sent out there to work to pull those resources to bring to the coast in order for those rich white men in suits to export to other countries, right? Capitalism. Transatlantic slave trade was the beginning of capitalism, aka slavery. And in 100 to 1,000 years from now, they're going to look at this era as a continuation from the transatlantic slave trade. Employees will be looked at as slaves, serfs, slaves, indentured servants, employees, the Industrial Revolution. All this will be looked at as slavery. Education will be looked at as a Ponzi scheme, and slavery as we had to pay and go into debt in order to gain a skill, in order to work for the same corporations. All of this, we're all slaves. It's just that they relented on some of the physical violence and replaced it with mental and psychological and economic hardships. That's all they did. They just sanitized it and included more people within the slavery capitalistic apparatus, which we find ourselves in, right? But because of all of that, black people live in high dense areas, while the majority of white people live in sparse country, rural areas. They live out in places where there are institutions of church, and all those things are a little sporadic, right? So white people don't live as densely populated within America, right? Unless they live within the black community, right? Within the urban areas. And I gotta hold this dog because while I'm talking, he's trying to get into the trash can, right? He's a little bad one. He's a little bad one. Little Pedro. He's Mexican, by the way. He's a Mexican dog, right? So African Americans live in very dense populated areas. So we have the ability to take advantage of that and be as communal as we are. We're very communal, right? So what's happening right now, which I said is African cultural consistency, is all of the institutions that are owned and operated by African people right now are operating in, when it comes to food, are now operating in their giving capacity, which I like to say, right? So every time there is hardship, we see hardship coming as African people in America, because the things that white people in America are experiencing right now, right? The austerity, right? The food insecurity, all the things that they're finally feeling as the veil of white supremacy, the mask of white supremacy and white superiority, and the mechanisms that come along with it, the benefit packages that they had as being members of the white club, right? The white club community are eroding or have expired, right? So now they're left with their own individualism. They're all left by pulling themselves up from their bootstraps and tying their own shoes, right? But in the black community, because we weren't afforded all the opportunities, or when we were giving opportunities from the government, like the greatest welfare distribution ever, which when they gave all that land to those white folks in America that's currently losing all their farms, right? All those assets these white people live, all the resources that white people have gained over the years from stealing from native populations and Africans, right? All that stuff is either been burnt out, they've used it up, or they sold it, or whatever. They no longer have those riches, even though most of the money accumulates in certain areas. So it would seem that white people are doing good, but that's just a few white people. Most of them are not doing very well, right? But what black people do, because we've always had to deal with this kind of discrimination on a systematic wide area, we had to create our own economies. Right? We rarely think about this, but we have created our own economy that insulates us from these type of situations. Same thing happened during the Great Depression. We did the same thing then, and we're doing the same thing right now. What we do as African people in America is that all of our institutions, all of our churches, whether you believe in Christianity or not, it's still an institution that we run as Africans, and that's prominent within the African American community, right? All of our churches, whether they're doing it because they're competing with other churches, whether they're doing it out the kindness of the heart, whether they're doing it because they need their tax write-off, all of the churches start to collect and gather food from all of the food pantries, all of the institutions and networks they have connected with as far as being a nonprofit organization, and they gather food. They do this early. They do this very, very early. And we have constant and continuous food drives within our black community. And just so happens within the black community, just like in Africa, there's a church on every corner, right? And just there's always politics within religion, right? And if one church is giving away food, guess what? Monkey see, monkey do. The next church better be doing the same thing, especially when they're competing for for members, right? So a chain reaction starts in the African American community where all the churches start to use all their resources and they start pulling in everything all the food from within the area, within their institution, and they put their money, finally, that money that the community has been doling out to these individuals. You know, when it comes to food, they do at least sometimes crack open that goddamn purse and they start purchasing things for the community. So right now, like in my community, there are hundreds of churches right now with networks in full operation distributing food right now to the African American community. Everybody has an aunt right now. Everybody has an auntie right now that already has the schedules of every church and what day they're giving away free food. And they are driving right now because they're retired, they have nothing to do, and they're collecting food, and they're driving to their sister's house. They're driving to their niece's house. They're driving to their nephew's house, and they're distributing food to their family members right now. There are thousands, tens of thousands of aunties right now, as we speak, on the road, headed to a church to collect food to distribute to their family. There are tens of thousands of African American men also doing the same thing. And also, if you're on the East Coast, we got plenty of uncles who are right now driving down to North Carolina, connecting with the fam, because damn near every one of us from D.C., Maryland, Virginia, we really all come from North Carolina, Virginia. We all from there. Everybody came up here during the Great Migration. So everybody right now, deer meat, all our uncles down south, down Carolina right now, down there on them private lands that we don't own or on our friends' land, getting deer meat and bringing that thing up to D.C. and distributing it amongst the family members. That's something that's happening. It's like a vein within the African American community that continues to flow and bring oxygen to keep us going. These are things that we don't even talk about, but these are things that every single family got an uncle in North Carolina bringing up their meat, or waiting for the uncle to go down there in North Carolina and bring up their meat, or waiting for the phone call. Every single one of us are waiting for the watermelons to come to be ripe, and we're gonna go down there in Carolina or to Virginia. We're gonna get out our portion. Every one of us are waiting for it. Every one of us got aunties out here getting all the vegetables. We got all the beans. Every African American house has a drawer full of beans that's just been sitting there for years. While Europeans has just getting to this idea of prepping as a form of surviving their incoming apocalypse, how they see it, African people have been prepping. We don't call it prepping. We just live. It's just part of our community. Every African American house, I don't care who house it is, has a drawer that got an insane amount of beans that not one person want to eat, but we know is there during hard times. And on top of them beans, we got rice. We know it's there and we tired of rice. And on top of that, we got elbow noodles, we got spaghetti noodles, and we tired of that shit too. And it's just packing up. On top of that, we got a pantry full of corn, peas, green beans, split peas, carrots, and every type of canned good. Even though we know canned good, fresh vegetables are always the best, but we got them canned goods. We're going to survive. Every single African-American house right now, as food prices are going up, have been doing nothing but stocking and stocking and stocking and stocking. And auntie's been knocking on doors, giving us bags and bags and bags of food. And we ain't been going to the clubs. We ain't been buying no Hennessy. We ain't been buying no pay-per-views. Everybody has automatically on code. We've all, as black people, have been utilizing the African-American austerity measures that we all know as a community we need to do. We've all tightened our purse strings, our wallets, and we bring in as much food within our houses every single day, every which way we can, that to get ready for the inevitable. And every one of our black males who somehow get food stamps when they ain't supposed to have it, right? Or every one of our females who get a bunch of money on their food stamp that ain't supposed to have it. Every one of them right now within the African American community are selling their food stamps to people who need the money. That's what we do. So when I hear people talk about the Somalis and the way they do the food stamps, I understand that. And I guarantee you, as some African American to say, you better go down to their office, get them food stamps. The government give you some food stamps so you can feed your family. We don't care. Okay? Because if the government can do it, if these corporations keep getting free money from the government, if they keep stealing shit and taking our money to go bomb this and go bomb that to enrich rich white men in suits, we can take advantage of the system the best way we can and get them goddamn stamps. Ain't no shame in getting that goddamn independent card. And there's plenty of people who done took advantage of the system, that take advantage of them, got them goddamn independence cards, and they out there getting 2-to-1 sales, and so that people can go in the grocery store and all they had is $100. They buy $100 from that one individual. They got $500 worth of food stamps, and they can stock their refrigerator up for their family. That's what's happening in the black community every single day. We not wasting nothing. We not wasting no gristle on the bone. We boiling chicken bones and making chicken stock. That's what we do. We don't even have to talk about it. We just watch everybody else suffering, crying, whining. We ain't talking about nothing. Our house is going to be warm, right? We're going to have food in our bellies. It may not be the best food. We're going to have food in our bellies, right? We're going to have meat. We're going to have vegetables. We're going to have tables. Our kids going to eat. And that's just how we are. And there's nothing within the system of America, you know, outside of a catastrophic civil war, completely, you know, civilization ending catastrophic event that's going to shake the African American community when it comes to us feeding our families. Because we are people, when it comes to food, we don't play that shit. We not just eating peanut butter goddamn sandwiches, all right, every goddamn, we not doing that. We going to eat. That's one thing we going to do as African Americans. We going to eat. Our kids going to eat one way or another, right? So I just wanted to say, you know, I love the African American community for that. And it ain't just the church. You see the madrasas doing the same thing. The black ones, they out here passing out turkeys, have food drives and shit and things like that. You see, it doesn't matter what religion. The Muslim madrasas are doing the same thing in those communities that they live in, that they serve as Muslims. Even the daggone Hebrew Israelites, as wrong as I believe their philosophy is, because it's all Abrahamic, right? They out here doing exactly the same thing. In between them jibber-dabbering about stuff, you know, fairy tales, they step out into the communities, right? And they feed their community. They connect themselves to the churches, the madrasas, the churches, the Hebrew Israelites, all these Christians, Muslims, and these Jews. If they black, guess what? They all work together economically to feed the community. We do that. We don't praise it. We don't put it online, but the shit's happening. All right. So the black community in America is going to be fine. That's why we sitting back chilling. That's why we sitting back doing our thing. We just, hey, we can't go on that cruise this year. That's okay. It's not a tragedy. We'll go next year. All right. We can't buy that thing for Christmas this year. That's okay. We'll get it after Christmas. Every single one of our aunties and grandmamas and mommies and sisters are snipping every coupon there is and getting every deal, stacking deal on top of deal. We all going to Costco's and BJ's and we stacking up. We not playing. We not missing no deals. We ain't missing no 70, 80% off, nothing. We're on it. It's like there's no missing it because we're going to make sure we squeeze the water out of the rock that we call this economy because we're going to get ours. Because these are the things that we've had to do as African Americans because we've had the whole system against us. Therefore, we are unified as a group of people. We do work together economically and socially within our community to survive. It's just that now we need to work economically and socially to do a little bit more than surviving, but to thrive, to take it to the next level. And that's kind of like the next step that we need to take. But I just want you Europeans to know that's what we're doing. That's why we're chilling. That's why while you guys are out here crying and stuff, we're not crying, we just surviving. Because we ain't got no more tears. We don't got time for that. We've been crying too long. We ain't got no more. We got to eat. We cry later. All right. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.